So the chairman of committees or chairpersons of committees be notified. Next order.
Order number 8, the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024, second reading, resumption of debate.
Yes, Senior Counsel, what is out of order? Yes.
Could they give me... Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise under Standing Order number 252 in terms of access to the House. Mr. Speaker, it's been brought to our attention that our colleagues in the Senate, some of them are interested in accessing the public gallery or the Speaker's gallery to observe our debate, and that they have been refused access. Could you, Mr. Speaker, give direction that the public gallery and the Speaker's gallery should be accessible not just by the senators, but by any Kenyan who cares to come and listen to our debate and our voting? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Honorable Otienda, I hear you. Honorable members, you will recall that during today's morning sitting, Order Kiborek and your team, Deputy Speaker, take a seat. Go to your seat. Thank you. Honorable members, you recall that during today's morning sitting, the leader of the minority party, the Honorable Pio Wandai, EGH MP, rose in his place and sought guidance on an advisory from the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning on the measures of supply and ways and means currently being considered by the House. The Honorable Minority Leader noted that the advisory from the Cabinet Secretary was couched in the form of an procedural ultimatum to the House directing against amendment of the various revenue-raising measures contained in the Finance Bill 2024. He concluded by requesting for the advisory to be repudiated by the House as unduly anticipating debate on the Finance Bill 2024 and as an affront to the budget-making mandate of the House. Honorable members, I did allow the leader of the majority party, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, AGH MP, and the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro MP, to make brief rejoinders on the issue before scheduling it for my guidance during this afternoon sitting. Honorable members, as I proceed to guide on the matter, I wish to note that the advice referred to by the minority leader, though addressed to the clerk of the Assembly, was copied to both my office and to the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Contrary to the assertions made by the minority leader, the advisory is not an unusual document. Members will note that every year, before the conclusion of the budget process, the Office of the Clerk seeks the views of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for finance on the options available to the House and its committees to ensure a balance between the measures of supply and ways and means under consideration by the House. This is in keeping with the requirements of Article 114 of the Constitution on the consideration of money bills. The advice enables the House to ensure that the measures of supply and ways and means that it approves in the appropriation bill and the finance bill adhere to applicable constitutional and statutory limits. Honorable members, as you are aware, under Section 39A(4)(c) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, any recommendations made or resolution passed by this House on revenue matters must take into account the impact of the proposed changes on the composition of the tax revenue that the National Treasury is expected to raise. Additionally, honorable members, under Section 45C of the Public Finance Management Act, the House is under an obligation to ensure that the total amount of revenue raised is consistent with the fiscal framework that it approved during the budget process. During its consideration of budget proposals, the House must strike a balance between the supply of monies that it appropriates for the national government and the ways and means of financing such expenditure. As ably expressed by the leader of the majority party and the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, any negative imbalance between the ways and means and the supply approved by the House ultimately results in a fiscal deficit. This deficit can only be addressed through borrowing, enhanced taxation, or reduction of the estimates of expenditure. Honorable members, if you listen to the contributions of the Honorable TJ Kajwang yesterday, these are the exact words he used in his contribution. And he was very right in law and under the Constitution. As members will recall, any borrowing sanctioned by the House must strictly adhere to the threshold prescribed by this House in line with Section 50 of the Public Finance Management Act and the principles outlined under Article 211 of the Constitution that cautions against overburdening future generations with unnecessary bad debt. Honorable members, all things considered, my reading of the advisory from the Cabinet Secretary is that it constitutes a reminder to the House of its constitutional and statutory obligations. I do not view it as a directive in the manner argued by the minority leader. In the letter, the Cabinet Secretary reminds the House of the recent increase made to the estimates of expenditure when the House considers supply measures. The House is merely being asked to factor in this increased expenditure when considering the ways and means of financing the approved supply. In its decision-making, the House is only bound by the Constitution and the law. The ultimate decision lies with this House. I therefore find nothing untoward with advisory. Its contents may be used for the information of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, the Finance and National Planning Committee, and House in plenary and during the Committee of the Whole while considering both the Appropriations Bill and the Finance Bill. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you. On what the Honorable Otiende Amollo has raised, entry and access to the galleries is not a right of anybody. It is to the discretion of not just Mr. Speaker, but the Sergeant at Arms and his team. And their advice this afternoon was that they desired to keep the galleries unoccupied. And as being a security matter to which I'm not an expert, I've given them the benefit of doubt. Secondly, Honorable Otiende Amollo, you may recall some 2021, when the Honorable John Mbandi nearly killed me in the public gallery. No. Yeah, you are the one who saved me. It is Alice Nganga who nearly killed me. It is the Honorable Alice Nganga who nearly killed us. And if you recall, with a light touch, the Honorable Senator Mudhamasi, then he was, left the gallery half naked. And the Honorable Bone Khalwale left the gallery at a speed that would have broken a world record. We don't want to repeat that. Honorable members, now we go back to the bill. Robert Basil. But as I call Robert Basil, honorable members, I have been requested by the majority and minority leaders that we reduce the time further from 3 minutes to 1.5 minutes. Robert Basil.
Thank you, Speaker. The time is too short, though. From onset, I reject the bill because it's very clear Generation Z they cannot, or they want to say elastic limit on taxation has been reached. So we need to listen to the cries of the citizens and do like what Ronald Reagan in the US did. We cut taxes and we cut government expenditure. So, Mr. Speaker, if you look at some of the taxes, for example, if you look at the excise duty on coal, the 5%, in principle, Mr. Speaker, what it will do is going to kill cement, clinker manufacturing industries. And with that, we are going to lose jobs, lose revenue, and will not be able to realize the target. Additionally, the import declaration fee, Mr. Speaker, that has been raised from 2.5 to 3.5% is going to be moved to the final consumer. And since we import most of the items, for example, medicinal drugs, Mr. Speaker, it means hustlers and the poor patients will not be able to afford medicine. So, Mr. Speaker, what I want to say is this finance bill, we need to say no to it and possibly try to cut on taxes. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the levy, eco levy on plastics is going to increase price on plastic packages, and in reality, that is going to affect export of flowers and make our flowers not competitive. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Victor Koech, Chepalungu.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate that I'm now getting 1.5 minutes, but nonetheless, I will try my best. Mr. Speaker, this particular debate is taking a totally different angle, a political angle. As to why I'm saying this is because members have now deviated from arguing from a point of facts to now dealing with political issues. As to why I'm saying so, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that now informing the House that bread is going to be taxed. While the fact is, the committee led by Kimani Kuria